Hi guys and welcome back to UKFlyFisher. Today's my birthday. Now, you all know me, I don't take days off, 365 days a year. I'm at my vice, tying flies or fishing. So today is no exception. I've been doing orders this morning and now I'm going to do a video for you. This is the Humungous or the Shuggie, depending on where you're from. But I don't really think the name matters too much. I'm going to call it the Humungous because that's what I know it as. And I think David Downey was the person who made this fly famous. He didn't invent the fly as such, but he made this famous and he brought it to the mass market and he's done really well on this fly. I think he gives credit to Sid Knight. Sid Knight's a great tyer. He ties flies that catch fish rather than anglers. So it's always worth keeping an eye on what Sid Knight ties and what's coming off of his vice. But I'm not here to get into the politics or the history of this fly. I'm just here to show you how I tie my Humungous and hopefully it'll help you catch a few fish. So without any further delay, let's go and see how we tie the Humungous. So the hook once again is the size 10 short shank special from Elite Flies. And we're going to be using a 140 UTC black. I'm going to come in just behind the eye of the hook, tie about 1 centimetre down before coming halfway back up and stopping about 3mm from the eye. Snip away your waste piece. Now the eyes on this fly are 3mm chain bead. You can pick this up in a DIY store or you can just go on eBay, there's plenty of them being sold. Make sure you get the 3mm and then we're just going to come in, take a pair, place them on top and figure 8 to begin with. Then we're going to individually take the eyes, 1, 2, come underneath and over, 1, 2, underneath, over, and then check how they're sitting because it starts getting tight at this point. And then figure 8 it. At this point it's getting locked in nice and tight. A couple more turns underneath, one more figure 8. And we're done. That's not going anywhere. You don't need to glue them. I've mentioned this so many times in the videos before. Gluing them can mean that if you hit something on your back cast or your front cast, if you hit one of the eyes, they're going to snap off. If you hit them when they're like this, they'll have a little bit of move, a little bit of give, and the fly's going to last you a lot longer. So it's a tip that I don't see any other tyers given, but I highly recommend trying it because you've probably done it yourself before where you've hit something, a rock, a tree, even the boat on your back cast, and one of the eyes has come off and you're left with a fly with one eye and it just looks completely wrong. Well, to save that from happening, do not glue the eyes and your fly's going to last you a lot longer. Sounds silly, but it really works and I haven't lost an eye since doing it this way. Now the first part of the tail, we're just going to be using a flat holographic. This is one I've used for a long time. Catches me a lot of fish. But if I was going to recommend one to use nowadays, it'd be the Kingdale Flies fine holographic gold tinsel. But for now, I'm going to be using the flat gold holographic that I've got. I can't even remember where it's from. And we're going to be using 8 to 12 strands of that. Now when you get it, it's a bit of a mess, so I'm just going to wet my fingers here, just to get it under control, and then I'm going to tie it in behind the eyes of the hook, on top of the shank all the way down, and come underneath with the last turn to keep it on top, and back to behind the eyes. Now I'm going to leave that gold holographic long for now, just until we decide the length of the tail. And for the tail, I'm going to be using Blob and Buzzers, Black Marabou. So for this, we're going to want one of the big feathers with lots of movement in. We're just going to take away the waste pieces at the bottom. We're not going to need them. And then stand up about 1.5 to 2 inches worth of fibres and pull them with your finger and thumb away from the stem. Group them together with your other hand, like so. And then we're just going to come in and cut away all this waste at the bottom. Remove any fluff, so we've got a neater tie-in point. And then we're just going to pinch and loop the material on top of the hook. And then tie it again down the full length of the body. And then we want the tail 2 times the length of the hook, like so. And we're just going to come in and cut away the tinsel at the same length. Now the tinsel, the more it dries, the more unmanageable it will become. So I'm just going to wet my fingers again at this point and make sure everything's neat and tidy while we continue to tie the fly. Now for the rib of the fly, I'm going to be using a small gold ultra wire. And I'm just going to catch that in on my side of the hook and tie it the entire length down. Now there's a lot of debate with the Palmer hackle. I'm going to be using a Whiting grizzle. I really like this. I think it pushes a lot more water than the Crees and the Hens that some people use. And we're just going to be looking for a feather with fibres that are the same length as the gape of the hook. As you can see here, perfect fly here, perfect feather. And then I'm going to take the tip section, pull some of these fibres up, stand it alongside the fly, and then cut it to length so that I can tie in our tag section the entire length of the hook. Just makes it even more secure before coming back down on itself. Now for the body, this is where my fly differs slightly to most of them out there. I'm going to be using a dubbing, and for that I've got Blob and Buzz's gold diamond dub. So I'm just going to come in here with this dubbing, dub it on quite loosely, and then tie it the entire length of the body. Now I know a lot of people use chenilles and fritzes and straggles, but for me this dubbing creates a really good effect in the water, and it's what I tend to use if I'm tying a Shuggie or a Humungous. And then I'm just going to bend these fibres on this feather so they don't tie under themselves, and then I'm going to take open turns forwards. Oh, twisted the feather there somehow. Until I get to behind the eye of the hook, where I'm going to take 2 turns, and then come across with my tying silk, catch it in place, a couple more turns, before snipping away that waist piece. Now we're going to come across with our wire just to add strength to the fly in a counterclockwise motion. Take it slow and move it as you go to avoid locking down as many fibres as possible. Then trap it in place before coming in and bending and breaking away that wire. Now before we do anything else, we're going to come in with our Stomfo dubbing brush here and just pull out any of the fibres that may have been trapped down when we were ribbing the material. Like I say, it's meant to be rough, it's meant to look beaten up, and meant to basically be a fry imitation. Now one more thing I like to do to tidy up this fly is just take 3 more strands of this gold dubbing, tie it onto our tying silk, and all I'm going to use this to do is just to build up that head area, give a really good finish to the fly, like so. Come in with your varnish, put some onto your tying silk, and then whip finish 3 times in front of the eyes. 1, 2, 3. Then pull backwards to clear the eye before snipping away your waist piece. I've got 2 fibres here that I'm just going to remove because they're annoying me. Like so. So that's the Humungous or the Shuggie, depending on where you're from. And wherever you're from, or whatever you call it, it's a deadly fly and it's one to have in your fly box. I highly recommend tying some and letting me know how you get on. Thanks for joining me on my birthday. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have and would like to show your appreciation, please hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.